Hello and welcome to the Friday edition of the Grand Sports Center. We have so much in line for you today, and on our headlines, we have our Rangers midfielder predicting a victory over Sunshine Stars as Plateau United are ready to end the Nasarawa United unbeaten start to the season. We also have the fallout from the MBBF court case between the Gimba-led administration against the Engineer Musakida-led administration. We have we'll go into that very deep as there's a talk coming out this morning from Gimba, who has criticized the NBBF of delay tactics after court strikes out their opposition case. And talking about the National Sports Festival, medical experts have advised that the National Sports Festival be postponed or cancelled outrightly, as the effect might be too much for the country to bear. Just as the Assistant Director of Delta State Sports Commission, Aina James, is actually confident that Delta State will retain the National Sports Festival title they won in the 2018 edition in Abuja. Still talking about football, the Interim Confederation of Africa Football CAF President Constant Omari expressed disappointment over ineligibility to contest for the elections. Talking about English Premier League, we have Liverpool ending their winless streak after beating Sports last night as they end their unbeaten their winless streak to beat Sports at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. And then we have the latest on the Australian Open, as we have players actually being released from quarantine, which is an indication that the Australian Open is going to hold. Not alone in this studio, I have my colleague. Unfortunately, Mr. Donald is not going to be here with us today. Blessing, welcome to the show.
Yeah, it's good to be here. It's good to be part of this very edition.
All right, I am Austin Arome, but before we go into our main stories, we need to take a very short break, and when we come back, we'll give you the Grand Sports Center. Welcome back. Now talking about the Nigerian Professional Football League, where the midfielder of Rangers, Chukwu Chiamaka Madu, is confident that Rangers will pick maximum points against Sunshine Stars of Akure on Sunday, playing away in Akure at the Akure Sports Center. The Rangers midfielder is actually optimistic that they are going to pick maximum points away from home as the Akure Sports Complex. If you look at this, both sides in the last 3 games, they both unbeaten. Sunshine Stars at the back of the 2-2 draw at home against Lobby Stars actually still played against the Dakada FC last week, and they won away from home, their first away victory of the season. And then Blessing, what's your take on this? We have a cracker, taking place at the Akure Sports Complex this weekend, where Rangers, who are unbeaten in the last 3 matches, will take on another team who is also unbeaten in the last 3 matches. It's a cracker, don't you think?
Yeah, it's going to be it's going to be an interesting game if you ask me. Rangers, Sunshine Stars. I mean, if you look at the league table so far, Rangers has been obviously impressive. They've Sunshine Stars are obviously considered more goals, than Rangers, and at the same time, if you look at Rangers' form of late, they've been mostly getting draws like they did against MFM and also Lobby Stars, and also for Sunshine Stars too. They've also been, a bit impressive, but they lost their last game against Wiki Tories, right?
No, I think they won against Dakada FC. That was the last game.
Okay,
Away
yes.
from home, they have forced 3 points this season away from home. And they also won at home, I think, to Warri Wolves. I think 1-0.
Yes,
Then
yes,
they are 2-2 draw against Lobby Stars.
Lobby Stars.
Likewise, Rangers has played in the last 3 matches. They've drawn against MFM, like you said. They've also drawn against Lobby Stars, but then they won against Adamawa United. No, FC Ifeanyi at home, but it's still, a 3 match unbeaten for them, for both sides. So I believe it's a cracker. And their coach, who happens to be a former coach of Rangers, the coach, talking about the coach of the Sunshine Stars now, talking about Benga Ogunbote, is quite optimistic that they can actually, continue that run. If you look at the run for both teams, I think if you look at the form now going into this team, 2 victories out of 3 matches, one would think that Sunshine Stars actually have the edge going into this match, especially with the fact that they are playing at home and, it's like they have a momentum, going their way. And it seems, they are unstoppable at this point in time.
Yes, I think, like you said, they have a home advantage, judging by the fact that they're going to play at home. And if you look at the difference, in points between them, Sunshine Stars and Enugu Rangers is just 1 point adrift, them. So I want to believe it's like a 50-50, 50-50 event. So I think both teams are good teams. I think they will obviously go log ahead with each other, and we'll see the result.
So what do you think is going to happen in that match? Who do you think will eventually take
I think the home team will have a better advantage. All
right, talking about the NPFL, still talking about the NPFL, Plateau United, who somehow started the season in on a very bad note. They lost at home to Kwara United 3-0. It was quite a disaster there. But then it seems they're picking it up now. They started at the bottom of the table, but at this point, they are 10th on the log. And they're playing against Nasarawa United, who are unbeaten in the league. So far, the only unbeaten team in the league. So do you think this is the week where, the unbeaten run of Nasarawa United will actually come to an end?
Well, there's no doubt that Plateau United is a good team. But if you want to look at the head-to-head advantage between Nasarawa United and Plateau. We could remember even in the preseason, we saw how Nasarawa United obviously dealt with Plateau United. I think about 5 goals or thereabouts. Yeah. Yes, and you won't expect Nasarawa United, that is obviously topping the league table at this point, to fall out. I understand the fact that Plateau United are down on the table, and they'll obviously be struggling out, to at least win their game, or obviously stop Nasarawa United winning race. But trust me, I think Nasarawa United are in form, and even with the fact that they are making rounds, Nasarawa United will not even give that opportunity for Plateau United. But I think there's going to be a very tough cracker.
But the home advantage will always be a point. At this point in time, Plateau United will be playing at home, and they'll feel that they have that advantage over Nasarawa United, because this is their top, and they sure know every blade of grass on their top. So I think that will actually play to their advantage. But then for Nasarawa United, I think they are coming with that confidence. When you are winning, there's that aura of confidence around you, and you take it everywhere you go. And I believe that has been working for them. Even when you expect them to lose, they actually find a way to pick something from that game. That's the much we have to talk about as far as the Nigerian Professional League is concerned on the show. If you want to actually hear more about the Nigerian Professional League, you can join us tomorrow on the World League show, which starts from 11 p.m. We're going to give you in-depth analysis as far as the Nigerian Professional League is concerned, and we'll take you around the Europe, from the La Liga to the English Premier League, the Italian Serie A, the French League on. We'll just give you on the World League show on the Grand Sports Extra. All right, we'll go on a short break now, and when we come back, we'll talk about the National Sports Festival, as well as the case between the Gimba-led administration and the NBBF president, Musa Kida. Don't go nowhere. We'll be right back. Welcome back. Now going now to basketball, the technical director and member of the league management company under the Tijani Umar-led board of the Nigerian Basketball Federation, Ibrahim Gimba, has stated that the board will not pursue any case against the NBBF after the High Court ruling in Abuja threw out the case instituted against the NBBF by the board. The Gimba, speaking with reporters, said the measures have taken all along by the NBBF, actually, inciting the NBBF about, being the one truncating, the league from holding, and that, the NBBF led by Musa Kida actually, is playing a delay game with, the league management board. Blessing, what do you have to say about this?
Well, yes, if you'd ask me, I think there's more to say, more than the eye can see. If you look at this NBBF case, it has been, prolonged for a very long time. And if you notice, the basketball league haven't started for 2 years or more, and it's not really good for especially Nigerian basketball. This is a league that was supposed to have kicked off, helped, helped groom, talents, and also, enjoy the game of basketball in the country. But honestly speaking, the situation is just beyond, because recently, this case was adjourned, and also there was a meeting, and everyone thought that, the court is going to, finalize the fact that the league, the basketball league, finally starts. But it's just unfortunate. Musa Kida, the NBBF president, obviously will be retiring very soon, and they just feel, everyone feels really, disappointed at this point. So it's not really telling good, especially, for basketball in Nigeria.
Yeah, but if you ask me, I would say at this level, the most important thing is, your patriotism to your country. Now, you can't say you're patriotic to your country, and then when something of this nature comes up, you're going to the court. Even if it's a club side, if you're running a club side, you are expected to have a level of loyalty to that club, let alone your country. We shouldn't be arguing this case in the court. It should not be a matter that should be taken to a court, if you ask me. But then finally, I feel the matter has been done with, considering the fact that the court actually threw out the case that was instituted against the NBBF, and I believe they should actually, hasten things up to see that the league starts. Don't you think so?
Yes, I think they should, look for modalities or put things in place just to make sure that this league starts. Either ways, it's going to happen. Because this is a professional league. This is a league that it's supposed to be, going on. Various leagues, basketball leagues are obviously going on in various countries of the world. Why is Nigerian, basketball league not obviously going on? This Nigerian basketball league is like one of the key, sports when it comes basketball when it comes to sports generally. I mean, I wouldn't want to blame anyone at this point, but it's already there. So we just have to find a situation around it.
All right, and talking about the local league, if you're talking about who is taking the fall for this now, who are the most affected, I feel is the players, considering the fact that these players have been out for 2 years, and as a player, it's kind of impedes your development. The kind of development, how you're supposed to develop, it will actually impede it, because you're not playing competitive basketball for over 2 years. you tend to,
Yeah, it's
get
going to
rusty.
affect them
Yeah, and it actually
psychologically.
affects the chance of being selected for the Olympics. Just like you're saying, bulk of the players at the Tigers are playing at the men's basketball team. We keep inviting them from all over the world, to come and play for the Tigers. Now our league is not on. Now it leaves that,
That gap.
that the gap, between the local players. The local players, as basketball players, they don't have that chance because they've not been playing competitive football. So you cannot actually stake a claim to be part of the Tigers team. So I feel, more should be done in regards to making sure that our league starts, our basketball league actually starts, and these players get their chance and their means of livelihood back. You don't think so?
Yes, I think we basically have, like you said, we have talent, especially in Nigeria, especially our grassroots. I mean, aside the fact that they are professional football basketballers who have not been playing games, for a long time, and it has really affected them one way or the other. I think there should be ways of, even if the MBBF, the Nigerian basketball does not start, their academics, their institutions, or where continuous basketball should be played, and that way we know that there's something going on. So if this one doesn't work, we find a situation around it.
All right, we hope that they get their house right, and to make sure that the league actually starts, and give the chance for these players to be part of the men's basketball team. That's how much we have for you as far as the basketball story is concerned. We'll keep you updated as soon as we hear more. We hope that they sort things out, and when we come back from this outbreak, we're going to talk about the National Sports Festival, where medical experts are actually advising that the National Sports Festival should actually be postponed, and then the assistant director of the Delta State Sports Commission actually feeling confident that they can actually retain their defend their title they won in the last edition of the National Sports Festival. Welcome back. According to Akani, the event would, let's talk about the National Sports Festival. As of January 26, the number of COVID-19 cases has risen to 122,996, with 1,509 deaths reported. And a medical expert, a professor at the Lagos University Teaching Hospital, a professor of virologist, Dr. Oladipo Kolawole, the Department of Microbiology, is saying that the National Sports Festival should not hold, due to the fact that Nigeria does not have the facility to actually follow the COVID-19 protocols, and it might be detrimental to Nigeria as a whole. What do you have to say about this?
Well, it's just we're just at this point where we obviously, how do I put it? I mean, we are talking about the second wave now. Other countries are already talking about the third wave of COVID-19. Yes, if you'd ask me, I think this sports festival is obviously not going to hold with the situation of things, surrounding it at this point. Just yesterday, there was urgent, need for federal government to, obviously make contributions, especially to the sports festival. Well, right now we are looking at the COVID-19 situation. We know how sports is generally, how it's a contact sport, where people get to meet each other, and one way or the other you might get affected, and the fact that there are no basic amenities, to curb the spread of COVID-19. So if it's going to continue, it means COVID-19 is going to spread as much as possible. So
Yeah, but if you ask me, like some people will argue, there are some quotas who are saying, there are some sports going on, like, the league is ongoing. And if you look outside Africa, you can see that some other sporting activities are taking place. That if this thing could be adequately managed, why, cancel the sports festival outrightly? Because you look at it this way, we have Olympic Games to prepare for, and it's from this place where we're going to draw athletes that will represent our country at the Olympic Games. So they are actually calling, they are using that as a kind of defense to their argument that, this National Sports Festival should hold. What do you have to say about that?
well, I think the only thing at this point is if it's going to be scheduled. I know it has suffered so many, postponements, but at this point, there are no basic amenities or facilities in place. If they can at least provide these things in place and they could manage, the situation, is going to go a long way. The most important thing is, like you said, we are working towards going for the Tokyo Olympics. Yes, if they can manage the situation, and the fact that they can manage the situation, manage players, at least try to, help in such a way that it's going to follow COVID-19 protocols. At least there's a way they can, make their way around the whole situation. So.
Yeah, still talking on the National Sports Festival, we have the Delta State Assistant Director at the Sports Commission, Aina James, saying that he's actually confident that the Delta State contingent will actually retain the title they won at the last edition, where they amassed 353 medals, and out of the medal they had 163 gold, 88 silver, and 101 bronze to place first on the on the table as far as the National Sports Festival is concerned. Remember, the last edition was held in Abuja. That was in 2020, I beg your pardon, 2018, and Delta State actually won the edition. And this time around, the man James Aina is actually confident that they can do that. Do you think they can actually retain that title?
Well, I really can't say at this point, because we know Delta State are the defending champions, let me put it at that. Yeah. But with the whole length of the fact that games have not been played for a long time, and the whole postponements of games, I don't think at this point, if you talk about Delta State, how about Edo State? Edo State were planning to host, just so they win the competition. Edo State are also good, River State are also good. So at this point, it's going to end up being that the state that does well, wins. But I don't think Delta State obviously might have a chance, but I wouldn't, conclude that they will be, winners.
Some people argue, Delta State is like the hub of sports as far as Nigeria is concerned. They produce super athletes, like likes of Olusoji's Fashugba, Blessing Okagbari, Christian Obodo, even Wilfred Didi. It's like the hub of sport as far as Nigeria is concerned. So a lot of people might argue that they have a chance, owing to the fact that what they produced before, even the likes of SC, who actually represented Nigeria at the long jump in Olympic, you can see that Delta State, over time, they have actually produced a lot of athletes for Nigeria. So I think that actually giving the man confidence to say that they will win the next edition. Don't you think so?
Of course, no doubt about it. Delta State have obviously produced better candidates when it comes to the Olympics or events like this. But at the same time, things change, times change, and COVID-19 too is also a greater effect. So maybe it's possible they defend it or not. So I think a lot of a lot of things have changed, and it has affected a lot of things.
All right, we wish Delta State the best of luck as they try to defend the title they won in 2018. That's the time for us to take another short break, and when we come back, we'll talk about the MOC Championship that will be taking place in Lagos. Don't go nowhere. Welcome back. Right now, we'll be talking about the FIFA, the interim CAF Champions League CAF president, President Constant Omari, who is fuming over his ineligibility to contest the election. If you recall, Patrice Motsepe and Ahmed Yahya have been declared eligible to run for CAF president, but Omari is set to lose his place on the FIFA Council after failing in an eligibility check. The FIFA Review Committee actually stepped in to aid the CAF Governance Committee, which earlier this month deemed that only two candidates for the top role, Augustine Senghor and Jacques Onoma, were definitely eligible. And coming from Africa, Blessing, what do you have to say about this? You know, a sitting acting president not being eligible to actually contest for the election. What do you have to say?
Well,
what does it say about Africa, you know, football generally, or about the leadership of Africa football generally?
yeah, if you'd ask me, when it comes to CAF generally, the situation surrounding CAF and the fact that some of them, you know, are not eligible could be due to what has been happening so far. You know, the fact that a few of them, I think there was one that was dropped, you know, recently. You know, I think when it comes to, I think there's this uncomfortability surrounding African governance. Let me put it that way. You know, I think there might be something they might have sensed, or a misappropriation, or something, you know, surrounding especially African football has not been smooth sailing, especially when it comes to the governing body. You know, there's a lot of should I say competition, or there's a lot of possibility of not, how do I put it, you know, something not going right,
Yeah.
especially when it comes to governance of football in Africa.
Yeah, but a lot of people are saying that there's something fishy about this. You know, it's like something is being done to actually push the man out of the way for you know, an anointed candidate who is not yet known. So I believe
Yes, there are a lot of politics when it comes to CAF and football governing body in Africa, you know, and it doesn't really tell well, especially when it gets to FIFA and, you know, them contest elections
but
in
FIFA, if you ask me, FIFA has a lot of say in this, and they say, according to them, they said Omari is actually being investigated, is under investigation. So that actually disqualified Omari from contesting, and I feel, you know, it's kind of it's like there is an unseen hand who is actually trying to push this man aside for somebody whom I can't really say, because I don't know who the person who I feel the anointed candidate is, because if you look at the situation, we have two people contesting. Ahmad, who was the suspended president, not eligible to contest, and then, you know, two people are already deemed qualified, eligible to contest the election, and then the person who was placed as, you know, an acting president they said he's not qualified to run as well. So it says a lot about African
Yeah,
football.
I think there's something more, you know, to what we can see or say, you know, for the fact that a few people are qualified and some people are not obviously qualified. What are the reasons? Well, time will tell.
Time will tell. That's what Blessing is saying this morning. Definitely, that time will tell. Now, talking about the MOC competition, as they call it the Making of Champions competition, which is due to hold between April 3rd and April 2nd and 3rd at the Yaba Tech Sports Complex, and it will be an opportunity for athletes who are yet to meet the qualification standard for the 2020 Olympic Games, giving them that chance to actually make up and eventually qualify for the games. What's your take on
Yeah,
this one?
the MOC is really a step in the right direction, if you'd ask me. You know, a situation whereby athletes do not qualify, you know, you give them another chance, you know, but basically these athletes that will be given another chance are only based on appointments, you know, so it's really a good thing. You know, it's a competition where, you know, if you don't make it, you're given an opportunity, so you have to, you know, do better, you know, and prove a point just so you can make it for the Olympics. And the fact that Olympics qualify for the Olympics needs so much athletes, you know, to compete, and the Olympics committee need as much athletes as, you know, possible to go for the Tokyo Olympics. I think that's the more reason why this competition is going to make headway.
Yeah, and talking about the Olympics, they said for the very first time we're going to have a mixed 4 by 400 meters, relay team, who will be representing Nigeria in the Olympics. What I mean by mix is we're going to have 2 male and 2 female, competing as a team for the 4 by 400 mixed, relay team. So what's your take on that? If you recall, we had a proposal, not actually a proposal. We have a team on ground right now, as as far as curling is concerned. Curling is something that is not known to Nigerians, but then we have a team right now, and I think this is the first. Nigeria is the first African country that will have a curling team, a curling federation, as they also with this one on ground now. What's your take on this particular achievement?
It's really a good thing, judging by the fact that there are so many competitions like the curling that you just mentioned. There are competitions that especially Nigerians have not participated in the past, and this is going to give an opportunity for athletes and talent to be developed prior to the Olympics. And judging by the fact that for a period of time, especially last year, there was no competition due to the COVID-19, and I think it's a good thing, and the fact that we're going to discover talent that will participate in various competitions when it comes to the Olympics is going to be a step in the right direction.
Yeah, and if you ask me, considering there are a lot of medals to be won, a lot of sports to participate, but then each time we go for the Olympics, there are some sports where you see Africans are non-existent, like the curling, for example. We've never had an African country participating in the curling competition. A lot of medals to be won, but then it seems we have our mind focused on a particular group of sports, and that has affected our standing as far as the Olympic is concerned. Each time we go for the Olympics, the best we can actually hope for at times is get at least a medal. That's what has been happening in the
popular competitions, like football
at times. I think football was the only medal we got from the last Olympics. I think we got the bronze from football at the Rio Olympics.
And wrestling as well.
And wrestling. And we're talking about wrestling and football. That's where Nigeria has been gaining medals. But in the past, it used to be in the athletics, the relay, and over time, all that has changed. And each time we go for Olympics, we go in with high hopes, and then at the end of the day, we got disappointed. So it's good to know that something like this can actually happen in Nigeria.
And there are more introduction of new sports, at the Olympics and the rest. We remember the what's it called, the
The
dance,
break
the
dance
break dance,
competition.
yes, introduction.
Yeah.
So these are things that we need to, look ahead of, and start, preparing for ahead of time.
All right, we need to go on another short break, and when we come back, we're going to talk about the match that went down yesterday between Tottenham Hotspur and Liverpool. Liverpool actually ending a run, a winless run of 7 games since 2020. I don't think Liverpool has won a game this year, 2020. So the first win of 2021, I beg your pardon. So when we come back, we're going to talk about that. Welcome back. Moving on now to football, we're talking about Liverpool, who've not won a game in the year 2021, and January is almost ending. The entire January, it almost played like Liverpool was not going to win again. But last night they were impressive as they dismantled Spurs by 3-1 at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. Blessing. It has finally come to an end.
Yes, it was quite an interesting game going down with Liverpool and Tottenham. Liverpool never want to take chances, judging by their unbeaten run of 5 games. Yeah, especially this year. For 1 month, for goodness sake, they've not obviously won, and they did, well against Tottenham, scoring as much as 3-1. We saw the likes of Firmino, Mohamed Salah and Sane.
Salah didn't actually score.
But he actually Firmino scored,
but the goal was cancelled. Firmino scored, and then Mane. And what was the general outplay? Did the best team actually lose this time around?
I'm saying it because of those 3 guys in front. They really did so much, at that game, and well, what will I say for Tottenham at this point? Because I think Harry Kane affected the fact that he fell out of injury, obviously, affected their game. But I'm impressed with Liverpool's form and the fact that they've obviously bounced back. I think they should be looking forward to at least competing for that, defending their title too, and competing for the title as well. So they're obviously they're fourth on the table at this point, and Tottenham has dropped down to 6th, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and so it's good for Liverpool at this point.
There's this thing about Liverpool, and anytime Arnold actually plays well, you see Liverpool playing well. He scored yesterday, and he also assisted, and it was all over the field. I think that was the first time in over how many months now I'm seeing that kind of sharp play from Liverpool. You could see James Milner playing like a young man, as if he's still a young man. You see Anderson actually settled really well. Joel Matip, he started the game, and alongside Henderson, but then before the first 45 minutes, he actually got injured, and another defensive problem for Liverpool. But then a lot of people has argued that with the front line of Liverpool, they're not supposed to be having defensive problem. But then Henderson actually played that role really well alongside Nick Phillips, who came in for Joel Matip yesterday. What do you have to say? What do you think?
Oh yes, I don't forget Liverpool. Liverpool did so much in that game, no doubt. Even with the fact that should I say Tottenham tried to play some funny display, especially with the fact that Son scored and it was obviously an offside, and we saw the best of Liverpool yesterday, and I really do not know how to put it at this point. We know Tottenham, what they do is, counter-attack, at this point, and
it didn't
really work for them. And Liverpool did a very good one at the back. Their back four was quite, impressive, and what they did, was play a tactical game, and all the goals they scored were just easy. You know, we saw the goal that Alexander scored, very easy. You know, Firmino. You know, and at the end of the day, kudos to Liverpool, I would say.
Yeah, a lot of people criticized Mourinho yesterday, and a lot of them were actually saying that it was actually out of idea at one point. Instead of bringing in a certain player, he brought in a certain Gareth Bale, who has not really had much time. He's not really had much game time this season. So a lot of people also complain about the fact that there were a lot of individual errors, leading to the goals. If you remember the last time Liverpool and Tottenham Hotspur met, there was a comment that was attributed to Mourinho. He said the best team lost. Do you think the best team lost this time?
Okay, that was funny. Yeah, dispute that. Well, I think the best team won. No, I think the best team won, and
And what happened?
no, leave Mourinho out of it. Mourinho is a controversial person, so he just says things out of the blues, or you know, he's so proud of his club at any point, and he feels um, talking is going to put a little pressure, especially in a game.
Yeah, talking about Hurricane injury, Tottenham Hotspur, it started very well. They were on top of the table at one point, but it seems, things has not gone their way in recent times. And if you add that to Hurricane's injury, what do you think happened to Tottenham along the line? They started brightly, Hurricane and Son, running riots here and there, but then it seems we're no longer seeing that spark from this Tottenham Hotspur side. What do you think actually happened to them along the way?
Don't, like you said, Kane, who is obviously the captain of Tottenham, was on injury. I think that's obviously affected their game too, but let's not dispute the fact that Liverpool obviously did well in that game. But I want to believe that Tottenham obviously have issues of, especially, Mourinho's style of play, always be at the defensive line. So it won't obviously be at the defense. Once you get the ball, you counter. It's not enough. That rule can be, judging by the fact that you always use it consistently, can obviously, affect your game.
Yeah, and I believe so. I believe so because in a league like the English Premier League, where you come at a time, instead of attacking, you meet a team who is ready to defend. So with your own style of play, which is defensive minded, you're going to play another team that is so defensive. At times you run out of ideas because you're not used to playing that way, and I believe that has affected them. Now moving on, now we have the coach, the recently appointed coach of Chelsea, Thomas Tuchel, actually saying that he feels this Chelsea side can actually contend for the title next season, and this is coming at the back of his statement he made earlier in the season. Earlier, after his first game, I think he considered that Chelsea are probably out of the title race, and that a top four is what he's hoping for this season. So, do you think Chelsea are actually contenders going into next season?
I think there are a lot of there are small games, to be played. If Chelsea is going to follow a trend of not conceding goals and obviously getting that 3 points, consistently. That's the more reason why they might just fit into I said fitting, to the top four. But at this point, if they're going to end up always getting a draw or always losing their game, but considering the fact that Tuchel is new and he's a good coach, he's an experienced coach, there's every possibility that he could, impact the Chelsea team, at this point,
And obviously, it seems he has seen the boys, and the talent is there, no doubt. But I feel he needs that time with the player, maybe a preseason time, time for preseason to actually enforce his style of play. But then I was actually impressed with his first match in charge. Chelsea totally dominated the game. The only thing missing in that game was just a goal to crown their effort. And I feel, with time, he can actually build these boys to be title contenders?
Yes, with time is going to be, but that will be starting, from obviously next season and subsequently, the Chelsea, like you said, have good players, no doubt. Yes, and he could obviously look at those players and look at the players that are good, to be mostly used in games, and they are obviously playing Burnley on Saturday, right? That's a game they should look at as well. Use players that will give you the goals, in that game against Burnley. And don't forget, Burnley is also
A defensive side.
Exactly.
So I was actually getting to that because I feel he's not used to that style of play, from Germany down to French where he has coached. I don't think there's a league so defensive as the English league, where you have the teams like Burnley, Newcastle United,
Tottenham.
and Tottenham just joined the list, by the way.
Exactly.
And
Thanks to Mourinho.
yeah. So I think it's a new curve for him as far as learning is concerned. So it might take time for Tuchel to actually adjust to the pattern of the league, and that's how I feel.
Yeah, I think so as well. Like I said, in previous editions, the EPL is quite different from other leagues, and the EPL is obviously hot. You know the amount of should I say subscribers and fans that are the EPL. So he has to deliver. That is it at this point. I could remember recently, Chelsea fans, when he was signed in as new coach. That was 2 days back. Chelsea fans were obviously upset. They had to post banners everywhere saying that Sarkus continues, meaning the fact that Lampard is sacked, there's every possibility that Tuchel too will be sacked.
Yeah.
But that's the more reason that why he needs to sit down and check the fact that he has to stay for as long as possible, and do pretty well in Chelsea because they've got box of fans, within him.
All right. If you have to stay at Chelsea, if you want to stay at Chelsea, I bet you need to start winning trophies. That's the only thing that can keep you as a Chelsea manager. As you know, Roman Abramovich is not actually someone who actually give you time to do experiment with his team. If you don't do well, he'll probably sack you. And that's much we can talk about as far as the English Premier League is concerned. We'll go on a short break now, and when we come back, we'll talk a little bit about the Australian Open. As players are beginning to, come out of quarantine, and with 1 week going into the Australian Open, what do you think is going to happen? Do you think 1 week is actually enough, to prepare for a tournament as big as the Australian Open? Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back after the short break. All right, welcome back. Moving on now to the Australian Open, where players have begun to leave hotel quarantine after completing their 14 days isolation about a week before the event starts. On Sunday, about 500 players will have been released from the hotels in Melbourne, and the Adelaide organizer said high-profile stars like Novak Djokovic, Rafael Nadal, and Serena Williams were among those out on Friday. Players have quarantined because of the Australian government's policy on COVID-19 for everyone entering into the country. In early January, more than 1,700 players and staff and others tied to the Grand Slam were flown into Australia on a chartered flight. The tournament will begin on February 8th, and unlike the returning travelers who will stay full-time in hotel rooms, players were allowed out of their hotel rooms for 5 hours a day to practice on court and exercise. And even at that, Blessing, you are restricted to a certain kind of training where you don't have proper training, and then you have 1 week to, the event. Do you think that 1 week is actually enough to prepare for a Grand Slam like the Australian Open?
Well, I don't think that 1 week is enough. At this point, we know that the Australian Open is going to hold, but players have really been on a hard lockdown. you know, it has really been strict, especially due to the COVID-19 issues, and it's not really, you know, helping these players. Players want to, you know, compete. Players want to play, you know, tennis, and they obviously want to train and prepare, you know, beforehand, and they're not given the opportunity, although because of the COVID-19, which is, you know, not too okay, especially when it comes to the joy and the love for the Australia Open as how it has always been in the past. Yeah.
All right. Talking about Super Eagles Watch now. We're not going to go on another break. We just have limited time. We're going to talk about Super Eagles Watch, where Japanese top flight club Consadole Sapporo FC have signed former Aqua United forward Gabriel Okechukwu on a 3-year contract. Okechukwu joins in a deal worth 821,000 euros from Moroccan giant Wydad Casablanca. The Nigerian striker has spent last season on loan to SC Chabab Mohammedia, where he made only 7 appearances. The 26-year-old was part of the Aqua United team that beat Niger Tornadoes 3-2 on penalties in the Atio Cup final in 2017. Fortunately, that's the much we can take on Grand Sports Center. Join us next week on Monday. To be precise, I remain Austin Arome. I want to thank Blessing Bassi for coming on the show today.
It's a pleasure.
All right, until you join us next week,
Bye
continue
for
to
now.
enjoy Grand Sports tomorrow. Join us on the World League show. It will be starting by 11 a.m. You know, we promise you the best of time as far as, you know, the regular roundup is concerned. See you on Monday.